Hello guys, it's Revolution. So in this video we are going to be discussing who would win between Vegito Blue from the Future Trunks arc versus Ultra Instinct Goku from the Tournament of Power. Now this is going to be anime only, strictly anime in terms of the two characters fighting each other. So Vegito Blue and Ultra Instinct Goku from the anime continuity. That does not mean, however, that we won't look at the wider franchise and other continuities to try and get an idea of who is the strongest out of these two characters. Now, I did put a vote out quite recently, and interestingly, despite the current results, this voting poll has swung back and forth between the two characters. Now, if I asked this question on a poll maybe a couple of years ago, I believe Ultra Instinct Goku would have won by a landslide. I do believe now views are changing on the power of Ultra Instinct and the raw power of a blue fusion. We are going to dissect the power levels of these characters in the video, as well as their abilities, taking into account the resources and sources we have based on these two versions of these two characters, looking at how traditional scaling would rank these characters, and also looking at how interpretation of these characters could play out in a continuity that goes beyond the Tournament of Power. And for me, what's becoming more and more important is to discover and to have dialectic over what may be Toriyama's vision for these characters and how he would rank these characters. Obviously, we don't have a direct answer for that, but I think the dialectic to come to that conclusion is important. Toei and Toyotaro give two very different depictions of these characters, but the underlying theology that underpins these two characters from Toriyama's point of view is likely to be the same. So guys, please do regularly visit my community tab. I do quite a lot of polls on there regarding many different things, Dragon Ball and maybe even other verses as well. I want bigger sample sizes in terms of results, so please get your votes in. After this video, go over to my community tab and vote on everything you can see. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click all notifications on because YouTube hates promoting my channel, and smash a like on the video if you enjoy my content. So what we're going to focus on is traditional power scaling. How would these two fare against each other in traditional power scaling? How would they fare together if you take into account the entire franchise that includes the other continuities such as the manga, interviews surrounding Toriyama, Toyotaro and that particular manga, then other things like guidebooks, V-Jump magazine, articles. Then of course there's Bandai, what is their thoughts on this particular matter. And given this information, we'll see if we can sew together what is likely the leading probability in terms of what Toriyama's thoughts on this matter would be. Now Vegito Blue is particularly hard to scale in the anime, however there are bits of information that can give you an idea of where his power lies, but you could argue some of them are down to interpretation. We'll go over those in this video. Ultra Instinct Goku is much easier to scale and has become even easier to scale since the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie came out. So even though Vegito Blue chronologically came first, I'm actually going to start off with Ultra Instinct Goku in this video. We know that Goku is stronger than Jiren, who he defeats in the Tournament of Power when he is at full power in Ultra Instinct. Now, it is a close battle. Goku only just wins because moments after he defeats Jiren, he loses control of his Ultra Instinct and tolls out. Now, Jiren in particular is important in this equation because he is the one that's compared to a lot of other characters that are very relevant in this particular verse battle. Ultra Instinct Goku is what you could call incrementally stronger than Awakened Jiren. Now we know that the Awakened Jiren that fought against Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku in episode 129 and 130 of Dragon Ball Super is vastly stronger than the Jiren in episode 109 and 110, where he is stated to be the strongest enemy that they've ever faced by the Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai was in attendance against a Vegito Blue enemy merged Zamasu. Episode 110 Jiren that eventually faces off against Ultra Instinct Omen Goku, who basically has absorbed the Spirit Bomb power that was attached onto his Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 power and obviously made him more powerful and able to compete. Jiren is stronger than that, and as episodes go on, when we get to episode 123, he starts to power up even more. Eventually in episode 127, he is close to full power. He is a very serious version of himself, and against Ultra Instinct Omen free Goku, he is believed to be at full power. His awakened state is him going beyond his limits, essentially. Now, the tricky thing to dissect, how much stronger was he in terms of raw power? Now, a lot of people have speculated and theorized about the raw power creep in the Tournament of Power. Some people believe it's incremental, I think I'm in that camp, and some people believe it's in the leaps and bounds, such as hundreds and thousands of times stronger from the beginning of the Tournament of Power to the end of the Tournament of Power. Let me know which camp you fall into. I will make a video on this soon. But it is really hard to distinguish how much they got stronger, and I don't blame people for coming to those conclusions, especially when you use traditional power scaling. Now, as you probably know if you've watched my channel enough, I do power scale a lot, but traditional power scaling in particular does have its flaws when scaling a narrative of a series that clearly doesn't use traditional power scaling as a means to write its story. And I find that a lot of people's power scaling in this regards to the Tournament of Power getting thousands of times stronger often relies on characters simply landing a hit. But we've known throughout the entire history of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super that weaker characters can land hits occasionally, which is why I now tend to try and only power scale off pretty much match defining hits, decisive hits that lead to a victory or lead to a character statement stating this character is stronger than this character. Now, given Merge Zamasu was pretty much the character whose raw power was used as a flag point in episode 110, so in that regard, we need to figure out how much stronger Vegito Blue is than Merge Zamasu. Now, there's going to be some people that believe Merge Zamasu is as strong as Vegito Blue in the anime. I don't believe that's the case, and I'll make an argument for it in this video. By all means, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. So we'll look at Vegito Blue in terms of traditional power scaling and how he can be looked at, but with Ultra Instinct Goku in terms of reference points stronger than episode 110 Jiren. And on that point, I know some people often argue that the Supreme Kai Shin is unreliable, but then you could also look at Vegeta's statement in episode 122 and maybe even scale from there. But in terms of reference point stronger, we have Ultra Instinct Omen Phase 1, that's stronger than Merge Zamasu, Ultra Instinct Omen Phase 2, that's stronger than Merge Zamasu, Ultra Instinct Omen Phase 3, which is even stronger. Then obviously we have Mastered Ultra Instinct, so that's 4 major reference points that you could argue is stronger than Merge Zamasu. You could even add more to that really if you start to look at the growth in the middle of these scenes, if you include the likes of Kefla, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta, Jiren's increases in power, Ultra Instinct Goku's increase in power when he got that rage boost. So really there's 4+ reference points in terms of how much stronger Goku is than Merge Zamasu in terms of raw power. Obviously we know Merge Zamasu's immortal. In terms of Vegito Blue, we just know that he's stronger than Merge Zamasu. Obviously you're going to say, well, is he really? Well, we'll get into that now. Now in terms of the main source material itself, in terms of statements that we get, we simply see Merge Zamasu land a few hits on Vegito Blue. However, we do know that Vegito Blue lands way more on Merge Zamasu, and he isn't necessarily fighting at his full power from the get-go. We saw him against Boo in the Boo saga. He doesn't always go all out straight away. In fact, we literally see Vegito Blue land a killing shot on Merge Zamasu when he uses the Spirit Sword. That would have killed him if he wasn't immortal. So Vegito Blue technically won that fight, and he won it quite quickly. It was just that Merge Zamasu was, you guessed it, immortal. Merge Zamasu also states, you are immortal, yet you have gained power that surpasses even gods. Now this is relevant simply because gods could be referring to the gods of destructions, and I'll explain why. In terms of power, Goku and Vegeta, even in their Super Saiyan states, without even going Super Saiyan God, have surpassed all of the Supreme Kais, the gods of creations. In terms of the context of this statement and why it would be relevant to actually state it at that point, the statement to have any meaningful impact, it would have to be comparing them to the gods of destructions. Now, what do we know about the Tournament of Power? Jiren, who is Ultra Goku's adversary in that arc, has surpassed a god of destruction. Now, I know some people will argue he has also surpassed Beerus, but I think that has practically been debunked now. The Toei website also states that Vegito Blue is stronger than Merge Zamasu. There are also statements from Vegito and Future Trunks themselves that also give a reflection on the power difference. Even despite sensing Merge Zamasu's power, when Vegito becomes Vegito, he literally states what unbelievable energy. It's unbelievable in comparison to Merge Zamasu's. Then there is a moment where Vegito mocks Merge Zamasu's power by saying, "Is this all the power a god has?" And then of course when Vegito Blue is charging up the final Kamehameha, he states this: "Alright, let's put as much strength into it as we can and show our real power." What that tells us is that before he wasn't showing his real power. He's about to go at full power. He even then states as he fires it, "It looks like our attacks might be having an effect after all." Once again, this is just further indication that Vegito Blue is a lot stronger than Merged Zamasu. Simply put, Merged Zamasu's offensive was simply against a Vegito Blue that wasn't particularly using his full power at that time, and he was still losing. There is a guide that references this battle and it states the most evil versus the strongest. He is stated to be the strongest, therefore he is stronger than the person he's facing, the most evil, which is Merge Zamasu, and Merge Zamasu is pretty evil. Then of course we get into some of the wider franchise material, such as Bandai material, where a game guide states that Vegito Blue is as strong, if not stronger, than Beerus. The Dragon Ball Super sticker wafer set refers to Vegito Blue as the Ultimate Warrior versus Merge Zamasu, and then even has his score on the front of the stickers equal to that whilst using the final Kamehameha to even Gogeta Blue from the Broly movie. Now there is also this card that is from Bandai that is referring to the anime version of Vegito Blue. It states, "Zamasu, whose halo is broken and transformed into his hideous form, his attack power does not wane, but becomes even more ferocious. Cornered, Goku and Vegeta use their last resort, Patara, to merge and become Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegito. The Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegito's fighting ability far surpasses that of Zamasu, and he uses a variety of techniques to hunt down Zamasu." So even Bandai believe that Super Saiyan Blue Vegito, his raw power far surpasses that of Merge Zamasu's. Far surpasses. Now I want to make this clear, I do not believe you can use the manga to scale the anime because they are very different continuities with very different events. But if we're looking to get the Toriyama overview of how these characters rank amongst each other, then if something's not described in the anime and it is described in the manga, we do know that Toriyama does work closely, more closely than people realize, with Toyotaro for the manga. He doesn't write the scenes sequence by sequence, but he's very heavily involved in the planning of these arcs, and then he even signs them off once they are completed. So he has to basically agree to everything that happens in the manga before it is ready for release. So that gives you an idea on what he sees and agrees with, because he will make corrections if he doesn't agree with it. And in the manga, Vegito Blue wipes the floor with Merge Zamasu. Even in his base form, he absolutely obliterates Merge Zamasu's arm. Even Merge Zamasu believes it will take an hour for him to take out Vegito in his base form. As soon as Vegito becomes blue, it's game over. He rips off Merge Zamasu's arms before he even notices his arms have been ripped off. Of course, Merge Zamasu is immortal. So in a battle against Merge Zamasu, it's not just about your raw power reserves or your raw power capacity. You simply have to find a way to erase his immortality. Vegito Blue was hoping to do that with the use of raw power, but that is impossible. That's why it took Zeno to use Erasure to not just erase Zamasu's power, raw power, he had to have his immortality erased, which he got granted from Super Shenron. Vegito Blue's final Kamehameha could have been thousands of times stronger and it wouldn't have mattered. In the anime, it does hit Merge Zamasu and he survives. We don't see if he's actually destroyed and then he just reappears due to his immortality, but he flies up in the air and we can see that he has survived it. In the manga, Vegito Blue uses too much power in this final Kamehameha because he's using his full power to try and override this immortality, and he basically just diffuses. Of course, for the manga as well, there is a statement in V-Jump that states that version of Vegito Blue from the Future Trunks arc is a rival to Beerus in terms of raw power. Then of course, in the Broly movie, there is a blue fusion that is even stronger than Broly, is also compared to Beerus. Now in the anime, of course, Jiren is stronger than Belmont, and Belmont beat Beerus in an arm wrestle, and that led a lot of people to believe that Belmont was even stronger than Beerus. Even though people have pretty much accepted in the manga that is not the case, because Belmont wasn't even in the arm wrestle in the manga, people are now starting to accept, with the advent of Dragon Ball Super Broly, a continuation of the Dragon Ball Super story, and largely follows events in the anime, given the wider context of the sources and extra material from that, which quite clearly stated Broly is the strongest opponent, and Beerus is a rival to his in terms of power, and Vegito Blue was even stronger than that. And then with the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, that states that Jiren, who looked completely undefeatable other than Ultra Instinct in the anime, wasn't that much stronger than Goku and Vegeta, likely referring to their Blue extension forms, Blue Evolution and Blue Kaioken. Now, if you're a continuation Nazi, then you'll probably say the movies don't count for the anime, and if you want to be that strict, then you can do that if you want. But once again, in terms of giving us Toriyama's view on the particular power rankings between these characters, Toriyama wrote the scripts for these movies himself. Jiren wasn't that much stronger than Goku and Vegeta, therefore Ultra Instinct wouldn't be as well. Now, the issue with the anime, as that is the main continuity we're talking about here over the manga, is that the power creep in the anime is much more vast and expansive than it is in the manga. It's much more incremental in the manga. In the anime, it is rapid. The Supreme Kai states that Jiren, who is overpowering Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 Goku, is as strong, if not stronger, than Merge Zamasu. So that is the best reference point. So we have Vegito Blue, who is likely vastly stronger, but hard to measure in terms of reference points, stronger than that particular point of Merge Zamasu, and Ultra Instinct Goku, who I think we've distinguished is at least 4 or 5 reference points stronger than Merge Zamasu. And if we're being completely frank, there's a lot more really. So for the traditional power scaling, what we really need to do is determine whether the gap between Vegito Blue in terms of raw power over Merge Zamasu is bigger than the increase in power Goku receives from episode 110 of Dragon Ball Super to episode 130. In terms of traditional power scaling, if you had to keep Dragon Ball Super anime in a vacuum on its own, without the movies, without any extra statements from Bandai, etc., then you would have to put Ultra Instinct Goku above Vegito Blue, simply because he has more reference points to state that he is stronger. He has more evidence of a certain scale of how much stronger he is than Merge Zamasu. However, Vegito Blue, we just know that he's stronger, he's likely vastly stronger, but we can't measure it really. So in terms of traditional scaling, Ultra Instinct Goku would win. However, when you bring into the wider lore, the wider context, the consistency simply lies with Vegito Blue being at Beerus's level. I think it's become pretty clear that in terms of the lore of this series, that Ultra Instinct Goku never surpassed Beerus. It's very clear in the manga, and even the movie still depicts Beerus as being the strongest, only rivaled by the likes of Broly and Vegito Blue. But Vegito Blue, if he is to be a rival to Beerus, as stated in the wider franchise, then he would be in that bracket of power as well, which in terms of raw power puts him above Ultra Instinct Goku. In terms of figuring out how much stronger Vegito Blue is than Merge Zamasu, we do know that a base fusion is at least on par, if not stronger, than the 2 fusees that have become that fusion. At that time, it would have been Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta in the Future Trunks arc, maybe even Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku would be taken into account, who actually even damaged Merge Zamasu. So base fusion would potentially be close to Merge Zamasu in terms of raw power. Remember, just raw power. Then you can stack all the transformations on top. Super Saiyan Blue is thousands of times stronger than base Vegito, so it's an enormous gap in power. So you could easily make the case for Vegito Blue being thousands if not millions of times stronger than Merge Zamasu. Remember, the power differential doesn't matter, Zamasu's immortal. Then it becomes a matter of how much do you think the power creep is in the Tournament of Power? Can it match these kind of numbers from episode 110 to episode 130? Now, I know some people do believe that. I believe in more incremental power creeps in the Tournament of Power, but now we have to take into consideration the Jiren efficiency statements from Superhero and the idea of Beerus being stronger than Ultra Instinct Goku, even as far as Superhero. Now, of course, this would be essentially in raw power, that Vegito Blue would likely be a lot stronger than Ultra Instinct Goku. However, Goku does have mastery of self-movement. That in itself gives him speed hacks, dodge hacks. Would it be enough against Vegito Blue? We'd have to go into the extended universe of Dragon Ball Super to know that ultimately Ultra Instinct Goku can be countered by sheer raw power if that gap of raw power is big enough. I mean, we even saw it against Jiren, to be honest. Vegito Blue likely has that raw power, but we also know with Vegito Blue that he will burn out of his fusion if he uses too much power. So if he uses the final Kamehameha to the extent he needed to use it against Merge Zamasu, then, you know, he would defuse. But the point about about his final Kamehameha against Mozomasu is he was going for as much power as possible, because he wasn't trying to override Mojamasu's raw power, he was already doing that. He was trying to erase his immortality. Vegito Blue is also the combination of Goku and Vegeta, so he possesses all the abilities of both Goku and Vegeta. Obviously he wouldn't have Ultra Instinct in this particular case, but he largely knows a lot of Goku's moves as well as Vegeta's. He could simply outlast Ultra Instinct Goku even if he wasn't able to land on him for speed reasons, which I likely believe he would have the speed to do so anyway. So guys, I know it's going to be controversial, I know some people are going to get upset with this, but even in the anime, I believe Vegito Blue in terms of raw power still likely is beyond Ultra Instinct Goku, but I believe the consistency does lie with him being at Beerus's level from a holistic franchise point of view and Toriyama's viewpoint. So guys, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. I know some of you are going to disagree. Even in the poll, a lot of you seem to be voting for Ultra Instinct Goku still, but that gap has definitely decreased to what I thought it would be. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I look forward to reading them. Until next time, Ad Astra.